Greetings, folks. Well, if you thought my bid to run in the local elections and the general elections last year was exciting, was explosive, with the corruption that I exposed, ye ain't seen nothing yet, folks. Because the race for the Áras is turning now into a right farce. And it is clear that democracy in this country is being eroded. I am pleading with all the independent candidates to come together and back Maria Steen, ensuring that she gets on the ballot paper and that the people of Ireland are given a real choice. In light of the recent explosive revelations of alleged affairs involving Jim Gavin, it is absolutely essential that Jim Gavin addresses the matters directly. He is running for the highest office in the land, the presidency of Ireland, and transparency is non-negotiable. Everyone, folks, is entitled to a private life. However, given the seriousness of the allegations and the respect owed to the women involved, Jim Gavin must come forward and make a clear public statement. The dignity and chastity of women must be held in the highest regard. This, folks, is not a movie, nor a casting for the next GR in Dallas. This is the presidency of Ireland. The Irish people deserve truth and integrity, not silence or evasion. For the sake of his own reputation and the families already drawn into this matter, my advice to Jim Gavin is simple. Come clean, step out of the ploughing match and recognise that he appears to be up to his neck in it. One thing now for sure is that in light of Captain Kieran Kelly's alleged explosive revelations on his social media platforms about Jim Gavin, along with the explosive comments underneath his posts, it certainly is bringing a lot of attention to the presidential run for the Áras, and I suppose one might look at it and say it will shorten the winter for us all. Day 24 of the National Health Emergency Update. It is now 3 weeks, folks, since I wrote to the Board of Directors of Ballymaguire Food, the Food Safety Authority of Ireland, the Minister for Health and Minister Martin Hayden of the Department of Agriculture, Food and Marine, regarding the unfolding food safety crisis. The silence remains deafening. 2 people have tragically died from listeria food poisoning. Many more across the country have been hospitalised, and countless others are victims of food poisoning. I now believe that there is a serious cover-up involved in multiple government bodies in relation to food recalls and the true consequences of this crisis. At the Ploughing Championships, I visited the Department of Agriculture, Food and Marine stand, and I was told that Minister Martin Hayden was not around, but in reality it was clear he was avoiding me and the hard questions. Meanwhile, farmers in this country are being left high and dry. The president of the IFA, Francie Gorman, appeared on Virgin Media News, but dodged the real issues of why farmers are blamed for inflation in food prices, while retailers hike margins unchecked. This, folks, is pure propaganda and bullshit, and farmers need to ask themselves, who are the IFA really representing? Because it certainly is not the farmers of Ireland. A dairy farmer milking 350 cows told me how he spent time questioning both the ICMSA and the IFA at the Ploughing Championships, only to be dismissed. He explained that a 3 cent a litre cut in August milk prices costs a 500,000 litre supplier €1,500 in just 1 month. Multiply that across 100 suppliers in a co-op and you're talking about €150,000 taken from farmers in 1 month alone. And where does it go, folks? Straight into the back pocket of the co-ops and the retailers, while the very farmers producing the milk are left struggling to pay their mortgages. This farmer is already facing a €6,500 drop in income. the equivalent of 3 months' mortgage repayments on his family home. Farmers are being punished for expansion, while retailers charge whatever they want for milk. The farm organisations continue to paint a rosy picture, but the reality for farmers is one of spiralling costs, collapsing incomes, and betrayal by those who are meant to represent them. This is not new, because 10 years ago, whistleblower Dennis O'Callaghan was silenced in the High Court by Pat the Baker with a gagging order after exposing truths about food recalls and waste mismanagement. This sworn affidavit remains public knowledge. I understand now that Dennis O'Callaghan is once again in the legal process and making moves within the court that will allow him to finally tell the true story of why he was silenced. Based on the sworn affidavits that I have personally read from the High Court records case 10 years ago, if this evidence is allowed into the open, it will be fairly explosive and could, in my opinion, bring the entire food industry to its knees. On another front, I contacted Lidl Ireland about an alleged mice infestation in their food distribution centres. On Tuesday the 9th of September at 14:33 p.m, I received the following email from Lidl's legal team and compliance department. Dear Miss Keane, we acknowledge receipt of your email and we will respond to you by Friday the 12th. Kind regards, the legal and compliance department of Lidl Ireland. Despite this commitment, the only official response I subsequently received was a generic letter signed by Lidl's legal director stating their commitment to compliance, but failing to address the specific issues I raised. I have also contacted the Food Safety Authority of Ireland, the HSE and the Department of Health and the Department of Justice and the Department of Agriculture. Today, I've been formally notified that the Protected Disclosures Commission, Mr. Gerard Deering, has accepted my complaint. He will now direct the course of the investigation into the food recalls and the alleged Lidl mice infestation. This confirms the seriousness of the matter. It is now being treated as a protected disclosure at state level. This is no longer a local or temporary issue. This is a national health emergency that involves food recalls not properly disclosed, possible suppression of information on consumer deaths, farmers betrayed and silenced, whistleblowers gagged and intimidated, retailers and co-ops lining their back pockets while producers collapse, and explosive High Court evidence that may finally expose the truth. Folks, I will not be silent. Lives have been lost, families destroyed, and trust shattered. The truth must come out. Day 32 update on Pepper Finance saga and James Glazier. Since I reported live outside Permanent TSB Bank in Castle Street in Tralee last week, something striking has happened. They've repainted the front of the bank and replaced the sign. It now reads PTSB in fresh paint. But folks, let's be honest, a new coat of paint doesn't change the truth. A shiny new sign doesn't change the fact that it's the same bank operating under the same umbrella. You can repaint the walls, you can change the lettering, but you cannot erase what's happening behind closed doors. This is the same bank that has allegedly sold a loan to Pepper, a vulture fund with no proper titles, without transparency, without justice. Families and businesses are being played with like numbers on a balance sheet, while the suits think that a lick of paint will cover over the cracks. This is about more than signage. This is about accountability, about truth, about people's homes, livelihoods and futures being shuffled around like poker chips in a casino. They may change the sign, but we see right through it. Gura Míle Maith Agaibh.